Alright, listen up, because this is the kind of economic disaster they'll be teaching in history books someday. Imagine waking up to find out that your country just lost $3.4 trillion. Yes, trillion with a T, in a single day. Not in a war, not in a natural disaster, just from one political move gone horribly wrong. That's exactly what happened when Trump's tariffs hit and Canada struck back. And before you say, "Oh, Canada, the nice guys with maple syrup and mousse," let me tell you, when it comes to trade wars, Canada plays chess while America is still trying to figure out checkers. This isn't just a trade dispute, it's economic warfare, and it's playing out like a high-stakes thriller. Money is vanishing, industries are crumbling, and Wall Street is looking at the Federal Reserve like, "Do something, bro." So how did this happen? Why is Canada the one handing out financial L's? And is the US economy about to take an even bigger nosedive? Buckle up, because this story is wild. So here's the setup. Trump wanted to revive American industries, particularly steel, aluminum, and manufacturing. His solution? Massive tariffs on Canadian imports, because in his mind, that would force American companies to buy locally and bring jobs back home. Sounds great in theory, but here's the problem. Canada is the single largest supplier of these materials to the US. So instead of hurting Canada, American businesses were suddenly stuck paying way more for raw materials. Imagine you own a burger shop, and your supplier, who happens to be your next-door neighbor, suddenly gets taxed every time they deliver meat to you. Do you, A, keep buying from them and eat the cost? B, raise your prices so your customers pay for it? C, start looking for a new supplier like, say, Mexico or China? Well, American companies chose all three, and that's where the real chaos started. But Canada wasn't just going to take this lying down. They had a counterpunch locked and loaded. Let's get one thing straight. Canada might be known for saying sorry a lot, but they don't play when it comes to trade. The moment Trump's tariffs went live, Canada fired back with tariffs of their own, targeting the US where it hurt the most. And they weren't just slapping taxes on random goods, they were surgical. They hit US steel and aluminum exports, making it harder for American manufacturers to sell abroad. They targeted US agriculture, especially products from states that were crucial for Trump's re-election. Looking at you, Wisconsin cheese and Florida orange juice. And the real kicker, they went after American whiskey and bourbon, specifically from Kentucky, where a certain Senate Majority Leader lived. And just like that, American businesses were caught in the crossfire. Farmers couldn't sell their crops, manufacturers couldn't afford materials, and prices for everyday goods skyrocketed. But we're just getting started, because this little trade war quickly turned into an all-out economic nightmare. Here's where things go from bad policy to full-blown economic catastrophe. The second Canada's counter-tariffs kicked in, investors panicked. And if there's one thing Wall Street hates more than bad coffee, it's uncertainty. So what happened? The stock market took a historic plunge. The US dollar weakened as international confidence shrank overnight. Billions in investments fled to safer markets, like Europe and China. The result? A jaw-dropping $3.4 trillion vanished from the market in a single day. To put that in perspective, that's like losing Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft combined. And it didn't stop there, because now businesses were scrambling to adjust. Prices on goods shot up, supply chains got wrecked, and industries that relied on exports, like American farmers and automakers, were bleeding money. But you know who wasn't losing? China. And that's where this story takes a wild turn. While the US and Canada were busy throwing economic punches at each other, guess who was watching from the sidelines, smiling like a villain in a Bond movie? China. See, when the US started losing suppliers and customers due to tariffs, China swooped in and made deals with the countries America pushed away. Suddenly, European companies were buying steel from China instead of the US-Mexico, started importing more from China. Even Canada ramped up trade deals with Asia. And just like that, Trump's attempt to isolate China actually gave them more power in global trade. But wait, what about American workers? Weren't these tariffs supposed to help them? Trump's whole pitch was, tariffs will bring jobs back. Reality check? They did the exact opposite. Here's why. When companies pay more for materials, they either raise prices or cut costs, which usually means firing workers. US manufacturers couldn't compete globally anymore, so instead of hiring, they were shutting down factories. And get this, Even the industries Trump was trying to protect, like steel, ended up losing more jobs because demand collapsed. By the end of the year, over 300,000 American jobs had vanished. And the final irony, some US companies found it cheaper to move production overseas than deal with Trump's tariffs. So if the US economy was getting wrecked, how did Canada come out of this? Oh, you're gonna love this part. Yep. While the US was struggling, Canada found new trade partners, stabilized their economy, and even strengthened their industries. They expanded deals with the EU and Asia. They poured money into domestic production, making their industries more independent. And the best part, they became the go-to supplier for countries avoiding US tariffs. Meanwhile, the US economy was still spiraling. And just like that, the Make America Great Again trade war ended up making Canada stronger. So what's the big lesson here? Trade wars aren't won with tweets, they're won with strategy. Canada might be polite, but they play the long game. $3.4 trillion isn't just a market dip, it's a warning sign. Now the question is, can the US recover? Or is this just the start of a long economic decline? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown of how not to run a trade war, smash that like button, subscribe for more sharp economic takes, and share this video before the next financial disaster breaks the internet. Until next time, stay sharp, stay informed, and never underestimate the power of Canadian revenge.